Greetings, ladies and gents. We will begin with a presentation concerned to the formation of personnel in maintenance management. The personnel who knows how to manage anything has two features: formation and training. Experience comes with training. Any serious organization recognizes the fact that any management system is a particular application of the applicable standard, and experience in other management systems more often than not cannot be translated into capability to work in a specific management system. On the other hand, a well-studied person on the relevant subject will be more suited to get better results from training. Depending on the formation, it might be possible that in a particular case, training might not be necessary. To give written procedures to the person might be more than enough. This presentation series focuses on the formation of the personnel and all their roles in maintenance management. Does anyone need to justify this goal? Not at all, but having a clear view of the goal avoids interpretation mistakes and enhances the chance to achieve the goal. The first observation to make is that the goal of this presentation series is not academic. The goal is the formation of personnel capable to perform effective maintenance management. An effective maintenance management gets the optimum balance of maintenance cost and availability for safe operation. Nevertheless, the total elimination of failures will not achieve this goal. Only the elimination of the most severe effects from failure will do the trick. Ignore, do not understand or deny this fact makes the organization set its goal on the total elimination of failures, regardless of its effect or cost. With the help of a powerful planning tool, the bow-tie diagram, this fact can be explained. The failure mode must be analyzed first, then its effects. If the effect is severe, the causes of the failure are analyzed. Based on this analysis, preventive and corrective action are planned. The cost of the action is the maintenance cost. If the organization only pays attention to the failures, it will put the same amount of resources to the trivial failure modes and to the ones that have catastrophic effects. The last ones are the ones that deplete the organization resources. In order to understand what is maintenance management, two concepts must be clear: what is maintenance and what is management. This might seem a pointless exercise, but the secret lies in the detail. Maintenance is the intervention of an asset which is found to be in a state of functional failure in order to restore its function. This definition applies to corrective maintenance, but what about preventive and predictive maintenance? How about these definitions? A set of actions performed in order to keep the function of an asset. This that is chosen not to be a maintenance definition seems to apply to preventive and predictive maintenance. Let's talk about preventive maintenance. The preventive maintenance definition that says that preventive maintenance is a set of actions taken to avoid failure is fundamentally wrong for the following reasons. First, it's a lie. There is no maintenance action or any kind of action that can be taken to avoid functional failure. And second, the use of this definition keeps the real preventive maintenance action from being taken. People who wears the banner of this flawed maintenance definition take the following action as preventive maintenance. First, cleaning the asset. Second, keeping the service media at level. And third, inspect the asset. First, these are not maintenance actions. There are operational duties. Making maintenance responsible for this action means allowing the operations personnel to operate the asset outside the design specification, which, by the way, is their main responsibility. Second, and most importantly, these actions, no matter who performs them, will not avoid functional failure. It can be argued that they avoid premature failure, but being the time to failure a random variable with more variability than the average engineering variable, the concept of premature failure does not hold water. What these actions do is they keep the cause of functional failure from being the operation of the asset outside the design specification. To avoid malicious misunderstandings, these actions must be done by the personnel responsible for the operation of the asset, and they must not be labeled preventive maintenance. As the operations personnel will resist this healthy policy, the maintenance personnel who performs these tasks could be transferred along with the budget. If this mainstream definition is not an adequate definition of preventive maintenance, then which one is it? Preventive maintenance is the substitution or reparation of an asset or its components at a given frequency, not to avoid failure, but to be ahead of it. So the goal of this intervention is not to avoid failure. On the contrary, the reason of the intervention is that the probability of failure has increased or the reliability has decreased to a point where statistically the asset is in functional failure. In this state, the goal of the intervention of the asset is to avoid the most severe effects of the failure mode. Don't worry, we will review the concept of reliability which supports this preventive maintenance definition. In summary, the definition of preventive maintenance as a set of actions performed in order to avoid failure will not be used because it sets the maintenance goal to avoid all failure, which is an achievable and dangerous goal. The maintenance goal should be to restore the function of the asset in a way that avoids the most severe consequences of the failure mode. And second, it justifies the lousy corporate policy of making maintenance responsible of operational duties. As promised, let's review the reliability concept. Reliability is the probability that an asset is found at a functional state after a period of continuous performance. Reliability is a word known by many and a concept that a few understand, and because of this is almost never applied. The issue to get the concept is a poor statistics formation. Because of this, the interpretation of the concept of probability is loose. Probability in statistics is defined as the area under the probability density function. The probability density function is the limit of the relative frequency histogram when the interval of class tends to zero. A frequency histogram is a plot where in the horizontal axis the random variable in class interval follower is plotted. The quantity of events that fall under a class interval is plotted on the vertical axis. But what is the probability density function? Let's begin with a population of assets. The assets work for a long period of time, which we named surveillance period. Then the times to failure of the asset or occurred events are registered. Please note that in this case the time to failure is the random variable. The surveillance period is then divided in equal intervals of time that will be named class interval. A table of the number of events occurring in each class interval and the class interval is created. If each of these frequencies is divided by the total number of events, the relative frequencies are obtained. It is obvious that the sum of the relative frequencies is equal to 1. The plot of relative frequencies and the class intervals is the relative frequency histogram. If in this plot, which is a bar plot by the way, we let the class interval approach 0, then the plot becomes a curve. This curve is the probability density function. The area under the curve is equal to 1 for the same reason that the sum of the relative frequencies is equal to 1. The probability that a random variable takes a value between a and b is the defined integral of the probability density function between a and b. In practice, with a sample of the random variable, by means of statistical analysis, the data is tested to see if it fits a known probability distribution. This test involves the calculation of the characteristic parameters of the distribution. If the data fits and the parameters of the distribution are known, then it is considered a good approximation of the real probability density function. At this point, it must be clear that reliability is a probability and the probability is a statistical magnitude. Now, to deal with the statistical magnitude is that they are not characteristics of an object but of a population variability. This means that it's wrong to talk about the reliability of a pump. Referring to pump's reliability has much more sense. This fact can be seen more clearly analyzing statistical magnitudes that are more familiar and intuitive. Let's take the life expectancy, for example. It only has meaning for a population because it's a magnitude that represents the variability of the time of life of the individuals of the mentioned population. The life expectancy of an individual makes no sense because there is no variability in his time of life. The average weight of a population makes sense and do not require further explanation. The average weight of an individual makes sense only because there is time variability of his weight. The average weight is a characteristic of this variability, not of the individual. This little detail has great relevance on maintenance management and in management in general. This fact can be seen with a few examples of how it shapes certain management procedures. The planification is made based on statistical magnitudes. It's good advice to include assets that lie outside the limits of the management system in the population to calculate the statistical magnitudes. Because the larger the population, the better the forecasting power of the statistical magnitude. On the other hand, in the check part of the management process, because the goal is to verify the effectiveness of the preventive and corrective action taken in the plan and in the check part of the process itself through the root cause analysis, only the population of assets that lie inside the limits of the management system must be used. Talking about the root cause analysis, the concept of population variability can be used to give a satisfactory explanation of why human error is never the root cause. The human error is always related to an object of the population, not to the population. Therefore, if the human error is identified as the root cause, the preventive and corrective actions taken to deal with it will only affect the object, not the population. Not affecting the population means not affecting its variability. On the other hand, the root cause must have the characteristic of affecting a large part of the population, if not all the population, and acting over the root cause means acting over a large part of the population affecting its variability. Taking account that the goal of a management system is to reduce and control the population variability, to take it to a better place related to the organization goals, the human error, the operational fail, third-party error, natural causes, and any kind of failure in any taxonomy or classification system that affects only one object of the population cannot be the root cause. This fact makes obvious the existing relation between population variability and a management system. This is the reason why every key performance index in management is a statistical magnitude. Well, it's not hard to start talking about reliability and statistics and end up talking about management systems. Nevertheless, we are still dealing with reliability. Everyone who understands what reliability is must agree with the following statements. Reliability is a statistical magnitude that can be measured and compared. No assertion of reliability can be made unless its value is measured. By definition, 100% reliability is unattainable. The probability value, therefore reliability, is derived from historical values, so it's not a theoretical value, it's a real one. All the probability rules apply to reliability. Reliability is function of time and decreases as time increases. Reliability trends to zero as the time to failure trends to infinity. In the end, reliability is nothing more than a statistical magnitude with the same features as others like the mean. Anyone who knows how to use the mean in practice knows how to use reliability. Obviously, this is the way that reliability is used in management as a key performance index. Understanding what is reliability allows to judge between well-researched recommendations and baseless empty words. This makes the decision-making process easier and reduces the resources lost to useless investments. The reliability is expressed in percentage associated to a time to failure. The reliability of the facility is 90% in 6 months, which means there's 90% chance to operate the plant without failure for 6 months, for example. The calculation of reliability has the same difficulty as the mean. Even so, in the typical case, the calculation of reliability is the calculation of the mean time between failure and using it in an exponential. The difficulties arise from the quality data collection and its processing, depending on the question that's being trying to answer. After having cleared the skies surrounding reliability, let's see how the concept supports the true preventive maintenance definition. Let's recall the true preventive maintenance definition. Preventive maintenance is a scheduled substitution or reparation of an asset component at a particular frequency in such way that the functional failure does not occur. Now that we have a clear idea of what is reliability, Let's use it to get an intervention frequency. The frequency of intervention assuming exponential distribution for time to failure can be obtained from the reliability equation. Therefore, with the failure rate, one can have an intervention frequency that reduces the risk by a well-known amount. Knowing the reliability definition, it's obvious that preventive maintenance is no more than the corrective intervention of the asset assuming statistical failure. Last but not least, the definition of management. It's an organized set of actions and activities in order to achieve a goal. Documented experience has proven that the following structure is the most effective. Plan. With the goal in mind, all the needed activities and actions are planned and defined. Do. The actions and activities are executed as planned in order to achieve the goal. Check. The effectiveness to achieve the goal of the activities and action is found and evaluated. Action. If the action and activities are found to be ineffective, the remaining activities and actions are modified in order to get the goal. When there is no plan, the resources needed to achieve the goal can be estimated. The plan is made based on the best information available at the time. Most of the time, this information will not be enough to make a plan more than acceptable. The plan will not be fulfilled as it was conceived. The parts of the plan that are fulfilled as conceived might not produce the result required to achieve the goal. The more planning time, the more and better information is gathered. The planning time must be enough to make an acceptable and achievable plan. All the actions and activities should be executed as planned. Depending on the given information at the initial planning, the action and activities executed as planned might not be enough to achieve the partial goals. The execution personnel, nor any other personnel, must not be blamed for these natural deviations from the plan, because these deviations are part of the process. By field data collection of the real values of the action and activities execution, its effectiveness is measured to verify if it's enough to achieve the required goal. When it's found that the actions and activities hasn't been enough to achieve the goal, a root cause analysis is made. The root cause analysis identifies the cause of the problem and develops preventive and corrective action. The recommended preventive and corrective actions in the check process are included on the new modified plan of the remaining work. This new plan might include changes of scope, quality, cost, and duration of the action and activities. Some new activities might be added and other activities can be eliminated. The modifications in the budget, duration, and other resources of the organization mean that the new plan must have board direction approval. Management is like a battle. If any army engages in battle without a plan, the battle is lost. The battle plan must be developed with all the known data from the enemy. The more you know about your enemy, the better the plan. All the required information of the enemy can be known. Therefore, information of the battlefield must be gathered in order to modify the plan to win the battle and achieve victory. All this process can be done by just one person. It must be a management team, and all its members have to be formed and trained on the same management system. This is especially true for the personnel who has executive power over the resources from the organization. This personnel is in charge of the direction of the organization through the management system. The evaluation and approval of the resources specified on the plan and action process does exactly that. Let's compare the management with and without a management system. How the plan is done? Without a management system, plans once or not at all. With a management system, the work is planned and replanned until the management goals are achieved or it's determined that the goal is not worthy. How the work is done? Without a management system, the work is not done according to the plan. The person in charge of the execution does the work according to their plan in order to please the strongest stakeholder. All of this because they are responsible for the results of the work they do. With a management system, the work is executed as planned because the execution personnel is responsible for the execution of the plan, not its results. How the check process is done? Without a management system, the check process is reduced to verify that the execution has done his work well, and if the results of the work are obtained, the execution personnel gets paid. With a management system, the check process is done to evaluate the results of the plan relative to the management goals. In case that the trend analysis reveals that the goals will not be achieved, the root cause of the plan failure is found and preventive and corrective actions are recommended. The new plan implements these actions. How the action process is done? Without the management system, there is no action process. The failures and its causes are not identified. There is no replanning. The scope, quality, cost, and length remain the same. There are no modifications to achieve the management goals. With a management system, the executives of the organization control effectively the organization through the evaluation and approval of all the plans and replans until the management goals are achieved. What do we learn so far? We learned that maintenance is the intervention of an asset in functional failure to restore its function. Maintenance has to be done in such way that avoids the most severe effects of the failure mode. The effects and causes of each failure mode of each asset must be understood and considered. We also learned that management is a set of actions and activities that are planned, executed, verified for effectiveness, and controlled in order to get a goal. Combining this knowledge, we get that maintenance management is a set of actions and activities that are planned, executed, verified for effectiveness, and controlled in order to restore the function of an asset in such way that the most severe effects of the failure mode are avoided. From the analysis of the definition of maintenance management, we can conclude that at least 4 roles must exist to ensure good management: a planner, a supervisor related to the do part of the cycle, an analyst related to the check part of the cycle, and an executive member of the direction board, which can be called the direction board representative related with the action part of the cycle. Among all of these, the most important role is the one related with the action, the board and its representative, to be clear. The reason for this is that a management system exists to allow this personnel to direct the organization through the evaluation and approbation of the plan and all its modification until the goal of management is achieved. If this personnel does not know the management process or decides to direct the organization by other means, there is no reason for a management system, and it's better not having one, assuming the risk. It's also a shall to identify other stakeholders in order to give them information and training in the management system. For example, in the case of maintenance management, an ignorant stakeholder will complain when no critical modes of failure occur, will refuse to free assets for preventive and predictive maintenance, will operate the assets outside the specification, among other things. If the direction bodies of the organization allows, or even worse, encourage this kind of behavior and policies, management cannot be done. The latent cost of all these failures is the lack of formation and training of maintenance management. Therefore, the formation and training of maintenance management must be done in all the organization, vertically and horizontally. And that concludes the introduction of this series of lectures in the formation of maintenance management personnel. A quick recap of what has been done. The goal has been set to the formation of personnel for an effective maintenance management. Maintenance management has been defining what is maintenance and reviewing the management process. In order to define maintenance, the preventive maintenance definition has been reviewed. Reviewing the preventive maintenance definition, the reliability concept has been introduced and analyzed. By performing this task, the relation between population variability and management system has been found. The management process has been analyzed. This analysis has found that at least 4 roles are needed to perform effective management: the planner, the supervisor related to the do part of the process, an analyst related to the check part of the process, and the direction board representative related to the action part of the process. Finally, it has been said that other stakeholders, other interested parties, must be found in order to provide them with the necessary knowledge to help with maintenance management. In order to proceed with this series of lectures, many strategies can be used. One of these is to develop an exclusive series for each role and interested party. Another strategy, and the path this series will take, is to make a general series for all roles plus a specialization series for each role and stakeholder. This strategy provides a more general view of the management process and shows the different relations that exist between roles. This is the part of the video where one says, if you found this information useful, give it a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm not familiar with the YouTube algorithm yet, but it seems to me that a shared suggestion must apply too. If anyone have engineering background like me, knows that in engineering, if you find or generate useful information, you keep it to yourself to have a competitive edge. In management systems, however, this is a fatal mistake, because management is a team effort, a social activity, where if the team does not have the proper knowledge, all the skills of an individual do not count. The job of the board and the board representative is to allocate the precious resources of the organization where they generate more revenue, minimizing the risks. In order to perform these tasks, they need information. It's the duty of the management to develop the management system required to provide all the important internal information to the direction board. If, for example, in the organization there is a person who knows how to do the earned value management, but no one else in the team, or even worse, in the whole organization, knows that this practice measures the effectiveness of the planned budget and schedule, the information generated falls into a void and never reaches the direction board where it's needed. No matter if the person is a board member or its representative, a manager, a planner, a supervisor, or an analyst, no matter who it is, his or her skill worth nothing and does not represent a competitive advantage over the rest of the organization. Please notice, the direction board must receive and understand this information to be effective, and that is part of the work of the direction board representative. As anyone can see, there is no point in keeping this kind of knowledge from anyone in the organization. It's a loss for the individual and for the organization. Sadly, there is people at all levels that are not smart enough to see it in that way. These people in general does not have much skills to share, but they certainly tries to sabotage the efforts of implementing this kind of knowledge into the management system, and this might include the elimination of all threats. That's why, among other things, the appointment of a manager and all the positions of responsibility by the direction board is a very serious task. This predatory behavior is one of the reasons why maintenance management systems, like reliability-centered maintenance, are not implemented, and management systems implemented according to ISO or OSAS standards might not be as effective as they should. They might be certified, but they do not even have a valid direction board representative, and the integrated management systems runs only in paper and parallel to the true business management system. This might be because certification of an OSAS 18000 and ISO 14000 are strong good points when applying for financial credit, and the organization does not know that the same techniques and knowledge that are applied to working RCM or any ISO management system are the best techniques and knowledge to run the business and any of its parts. In conclusion, for the knowledge of these lectures to be useful, the direction board must be the one who's buying, from anyone who's selling. These lectures will provide guidance for both how to buy and how to sell. That's all for the introduction. See me in the next chapter, maybe.